Hello, today I wanted to share a skill that helped me become a better artist. I don't claim to be an expert by any means, but this one skill really helped me get the proportions right in my drawings, so I thought maybe it could help someone else. Some people don't really consider this to be a skill since it's not drawing freehand, but how a piece is shaded is more important to me right now than how it's drawn. This skill has definitely given me more accuracy in my drawings. First, I want to mention that when I was younger, I spent a lot of time creating art, and then life got really busy and I put it aside for many years. This year, I decided to try getting back into it. I started a YouTube channel thinking it would be a great way to track my progress and hopefully improve along the way. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that most of them are done in a modern style with no commentary. I still enjoy creating modern and Zendoodle style art, but also love to challenge myself with new things. That's why I shifted to include a more realistic style of drawing. To me, this style has always seemed like the most challenging. So before I get into the skill that helped me, I want to show the difference between my old drawings and new drawings so you can see the progression of things. So first we have this girl, then a lady with a hat, boy at the beach. These proportions aren't right, these arms just shrivel away into a few fingers. This erased face, he got abandoned. This football player, there's some real obvious issues here. This one isn't as bad, but something is still off. One of the better ones. The columns look okay, but this lady's arms look really bendy. This one is kind of creepy. We just have some black holes for eyeballs here, so this one really gives a blank stare into the soul. Then I tried drawing my own limbs. The mouth on this one is definitely not in proportion to anything else on the face. These proportions look okay, but I think this is one that I traced just to get the outline right. And this guy has a really pointy cheek. These are supposed to be a type of orange called Satsumas, looking a little ripe and not in a good way. This guy, I tried to draw him twice, and I'm pretty sure I also traced the outline for this one. This was not traced, it was supposed to be my son. It ended up kind of looking like the Gerber baby with these really fat little cheeks. Then I took a really long break from portraiture until recently, and here are the most recent ones. Okay, so moving on. So to make some much needed improvements, I started learning skills from artists who I consider advanced. Many artists provide free advice and tips on their YouTube channels. Realistic art really captured my attention lately. So this is Sylvie's channel. She has some really beautiful pieces. Gemma Chambers is another talented artist who shares lots of information on her channel. And here is Jason Legendary. I can't say enough about his teaching style and down-to-earth personality. I've learned so many new skills from him, especially how to improve my shading. But the one skill I'm talking about today is creating a grid. Jason has a video explaining how he uses an app for his grids, but I use Photoshop, so I'm going to outline how I do that. But first, what is a grid? Have you ever done one of those complete the picture pages as a kid, where you have to look at each grid on the left side, and then draw a replica of the image on the right to complete the picture? This is the same concept, except the entire grid you are drawing on is blank. However, your reference photo will have a grid on it, and that's what you'll refer to when creating your drawing. So to find material, I like to go on Wikimedia Commons to find copyright-free images that I can add a grid to. I just enter a term to search for, and it will pull up a bunch of images. Just a warning, sometimes you will get a graphic one that comes up. I then choose a license type. I like to choose the No Restrictions option. This will pull up images that are free to use. Once I find an image I like, I select more details. In this screen, I scroll down to licensing, and as you can see, this image shows you that you can copy, modify, distribute, and perform the work, even for commercial purposes, all without asking permission. So then I go back up here and download the image. There are several different files to choose from, so I'm just going to choose full resolution for this one and save it as a JPEG image. Next, I open the file and select Edit. Then I select this third icon, the little paintbrush. And here you have some options to change the color tone. I like the regular black and white option. If you already have a black and white image, you won't need to do this step. So now that the color is gone, I save the image. Now finally, to make the grid. If you're doing this on a phone, there are several grid apps out there that you can do this with. I prefer having a larger reference photo to look at on the computer, so I just use Photoshop. The paper I'll be drawing on is a 9x12. In the canvas setup in Photoshop, I have the width set for 10 inches and the height set up for 12 inches. You can adjust these numbers based on the size of your drawing paper and what works best for you. On this canvas, I already have my grid displayed, so to turn the grid on or off, you can go to Views, Extras. To adjust the size of the grid squares, you can go to Edit, Preferences, Guides, Grid, and Slices. Here you can change the grid line and subdivision to what works best. Mine is set to 10x8 because I want about a ½ inch of extra space on each side of my paper. So I'll have 8 grid squares across the top and 10 squares going down. You can also change what color you want your grid lines to be in here. So now that the Photoshop canvas is set up, I come over here and drag my new image onto the canvas. I make a few adjustments and then select the check mark. I then come over here and select my paintbrush tool. I change it to a contrasting color that will stand out. Then starting in the second square, I write out my numbers across the top of the canvas. The letters go on the left side. So once this image is saved, it's good to go. I can now go to my paper and mark out the same grid using a ruler. This is kind of an annoying, tedious process, but it's worth it to me since it helps so much. It may take some tinkering to get the reference photo grid and the paper grid to match up, but once it is, the process will be much quicker for the next one. So now I'm ready to go. I have my reference photo and paper grid that match up. So now I can take part of my reference photo, say square C3, and start drawing what I see on the reference photo onto my C3 paper grid square. Then maybe I'll move to D4 and draw what I see there. This is a way of breaking the image down into small pieces that are more manageable rather than trying to draw everything you see at one time. I find that the result is a more accurate foundation that's ready to be built up into a final piece. I know many other things go into making a good piece of art, such as shading and value, but using the grid method has really helped me keep everything in perspective. It works really well for me, and hopefully it can help you. I thank you for your support, and hopefully this video brought some value to you. If it did, please leave a like, and also if you'd like to be updated on future videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.